But hey, True Believers England team here, and we've got a couple of topics to talk about. Mostly, I want to definitely, well, obviously, I put on the thumbnail. New York needs old-fashioned Punisher justice, and the reason why this came up, the reason why I thought about it was I was watching a video today, and there was this mom, and she was talking about how her kid was he's an Afghan veteran, did everything right, ends up getting brutally murdered. I could say brutally stabbed, but I don't think there's a polite way of stabbing someone to death. It's just, brutal is implied in stabbing. So this guy was stabbed to death, and it was on video because modern day criminals are so freaking stupid. They're filming everything. And the DA has this awesome case on these four guys. And when what's this guy? The guy going after Trump?
Alvin Bragg.
Alvin Bragg. When Alvin Bragg steps in, he reduces sentences, or he reduces charges. And one girl who helped hold the guy down ends up getting charged with assault with a shoe. All these things, it seems the criminals are being protected. And I thought this a while back, it just kind of seeped into my consciousness. This is exactly why the Punisher was created. We need the Punisher. We need, what was his name? David Kersey, John Kersey of Death Wish? Something Kersey. This is why the lone hero was created that got so big in the 80s, was because we saw crime just run freaking rampant, and we're seeing it again, mainly because we've got a lot of district attorneys who will not prosecute the crimes that are happening. Here in Florida, a prosecutor actually got fired because she was not prosecuting crimes. They're protecting the criminal, and it's it's going up. I'm trying to find the right words as I'm saying this, but it's causing a danger to the public.
Speaking of Florida, I guess Biden better stay away from Florida. If you heard what DeSantis Company put in,
what they do?
For dealing with children, people that are pedophiles.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Maybe that was actually aimed directly at Biden. You never know. But absolutely made me think we need these heroes back, because at the very least it's cathartic, and it's something where you can watch and you go, yeah, one for the good guy. So I put that out there. What do you guys think? Am I going nutso on this one? Is this not the hero that I should be calling for in such times? By all means, Eric, Captain, if you guys have something to say on this one.
I would love to. I think that's part of the reason we're seeing a surge in crime, is because we keep diluting the penalty and reducing it. People don't fear what's going to come of the consequences of that. When people don't have consequences, they tend to do things that they normally wouldn't do. Let's be honest. But it's consequences that, and the how steep those consequences are, that detour us from doing those things that are inherently evil. And as we continue to reduce them, people are like, oh, what's it matter? I'm going to get released the next day anyway. But that's my 2 cents. Feel free to disagree.
Let me complete the nickel for you. This is all by design. The more of this that happens in the more places, the more people who will eventually ask for tougher government control. That's what the end result, that's what the end game of all this is to take away whatever freedoms we haven't already been stripped of. Because eventually, I said, when it gets so bad, the people will take any solution, and the government will just happen to have one that will be totalitarian.
So
it's a blind man can see this coming.
You're going with, you think they will step in and be the solution to the problem that they create?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like with the guns. All these people keep blaming the guns. I challenge anybody, take a gun, set it on a shelf or set it on a table, it's never going to harm anybody until somebody picks it up and actually pulls the trigger. So why are we refusing to look into the people problem? Instead, we keep blaming the tool that's used when we have plenty of other tools that are used to cause harm that we aren't giving them that kind of a spotlight and look as well.
Yeah, well,
I would like to
selected one.
see a person in a press conference, instead of asking Biden a question, ask the Secret Serviceman behind him, how many schools did he shoot up? Because that's what it is. You take away
or how many guns do they have
because-
protecting them?
Well,
Because they're fine for them.
But the thing is, their whole message is take away people, innocent people's right to own a firearm.
Right.
Take away that because they're going to shoot up a school. You want to stop, because that's the whole thing. You want to stop school shootings, take away my gun, even though I've never done that.
Here's the thing, though. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, as I said, I saw something the other day where somebody said it's the government response is after a shooting is to take away the guns of people who didn't use them.
Right.
But this is the same government that told us that in order for your vaccine to work, the guy next to you had to get it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a lot of people. I don't know. I gotta say, I don't know if the people who said they believe that actually believe it. I maybe I'm holding out hope that there's still intelligent.
They're hoping.
Well, let me finish there, because I think we've become so polarized in our politics that if Biden says go, if Biden says this is what's happening, or in this case, Fauci was the guy who said all bullshit, and everybody was like, oh, that bullshit is it's our religious rote. We need to follow it. So I don't know, do they actually believe it, or if it's just what their religion is saying that day?
Well, another thing that I'd like to point out is anybody that thinks that removing guns is the answer should look up the statistics on how many lives guns ownership has saved. I will admit I'm biased here because I firmly believe owning a gun saved my grandmother's life. So make a really quick story of that. She heard a noise and was trying to break into her house. She pulled out her gun and popped off a shot, and they ran like crazy. She took another shot at them, and they were gone. And she recognized them a little bit. And then, lo and behold, shortly after they were on the news, they were found. They were going to older people's homes, tying them up, beating them to death, and robbing them. And there were several of them before her that they killed, and that could have been her. So in my opinion, guns saved her life.
And so to bring it around to the comics part of I Love Comics, I was thinking that we need that catharsis. We need the Dirty Harry. We need, or in our case, we need the Punisher. Unfortunately, Marvel has decided that the Punisher was too hard on crime, got rid of this symbol, made him, what was it, the demon leader of the hand or something along these lines.
Well, he's still using a sword and cutting people in half and everything else. I mean,
because that's so much better.
Yeah, but it's not a gun. Exactly. It's okay if you get cut in half with a sword or whatever, but you can't use a gun.
But it just what I read, I was just saddened by what I was seeing.
I actually don't hate the story, but I hate that they're changing his backstory.
Yeah,
and loading him with mental illness and everything else, which we always thought he probably had, PTSD and everything. Sure,
of course,
but they're trying to make him to be a complete mental case. Once again, Marvel destroying a character just for the sake of doing it.
Well, what they did that I didn't like was they turned him into a superhero. If that makes any sense, he's not a superhero. He's a vigilante. He's Batman, of course, vigilante, but he's a superhero. He's more fantastical. Punisher is always best when he's fighting street crime, when he's on that level. And there are certain characters, and I've noticed they have been taking him out of, they've been basically removing him from the streets. Daredevil had a good run, and then, okay, we're going to focus on the superhero part of Daredevil, and it seems like he never actually returned. Daredevil is a better character also. Let him fight for the streets of Hell's Kitchen. I don't need to see Stiltman every day. I don't need to see what is it, the owl or the guy with the sword, the cavalier, whatever his name was. I like these characters. They protect the streets, and at this point in time, I think it's kind of like you're watching certain movies that come out at a certain time. It's cathartic. You want to be the guy that goes and fights the freaking crime. That's one thing weird about guys. We like to be the hero. You know, I don't know about you. Maybe I've got this Secret Life of Walter Mitty thing going on, where I'm always thinking, will I do this? You know, I'm 53 and out of freaking shit. I actually believe I could do this now. You not really believe it, but you know, you have these power fantasies. That's what comic books are in some cases.
Well, the first time around, sorry.
Punisher would definitely be fulfilling that particular role. Go on ahead. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, so the first time, like when we had this happen, when this exploded in the 70s, even our government was looking for answers to quell the violence. And, you know, Hollywood saw an opportunity, took it. Comics saw an opportunity, took it. Well, now 50 years later, it's almost like the violence is government sanctioned. If not literally, once it gets into the courts, it's certainly all but excused. And there's got to be a reason for that. Hollywood is now another branch of the government. It might as well be, because they're you know, the media, Hollywood, even down the little tiny little comic book industry that nobody outside of this stream even knows exists anymore. They're all on the same side, and it's not ours. You know, I said, yeah, I would love to see the return of characters like that in entertainment. It's not going to happen because the powers that be, they kind of, you know, steered us towards this.
Yeah, we need Wild Dog. We need the Punisher. At the very least, it is a means of escapism. Like I said, it's got that moment. You see it done, at least in fiction rather than reality. We see now the writers and the artists, much like the district attorneys who are doing this, whether by design or not, they are saying that, especially because a lot of crime is committed by Black people, they are saying it should be forgiven. As if to me, that's the most racist freaking thing I could think of, because they are saying that you cannot hold Black people the same standards as white people. Black people can't behave. That's what they're saying. So you have to forgive. You have to say, you know what, it's okay for them to kill each other because, you know, it's culture. It's what they do. That's their message. To me, that's a freaking incredible racist. Yeah. You I've seen the interviews. They go to the streets. Do you want police taken off the streets of Harlem? And no, they don't, because everybody wants to live in peace.
Right. They love to play that race card. And I love when they go, well, do you want to see these black people and Black women have guns? Yes, to protect themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Those memes. What do you think about this racist white? But yeah, one, we're not racist. Two, it's their right to own the guns. God bless you. I mean, I noticed you're not putting your finger on the trigger for the pictures. You know, it was what was those? That militant group that walks up to Stone Mountain in Georgia, acting as if they're going to be in a gunfight. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
you're exercising your Second Amendment rights. Have fun. You know, don't of course shoot up. I would say this to anybody: don't go shooting anybody now. You know, that's it.
No. What one slick dude just said. And that's what they're hoping happens, because then they can come down like the wrath of I was going to say the wrath of God, but none of them believe in God. The wrath of Fauci, and just start, you know, stripping away even more rights, and they will get a sizable chunk of the population to demand it along with them. Look how many people, whenever there's a shooting, and they're all in, they act like we want them because, you know, that we would take that as an acceptable trade for no drag shows, and I hate that false equivalence if I'm using the right Dalton term. It's But they if they can
It's sickening.
if they can just get a cycle going that I said they can come in, like he said, be the solution to the problem that they created. And I said I don't but it's almost inevitable at this point, because I said the thing that was in that piece that you saw earlier today, you saw the part right before that where they showed the footage of that bodega guy owner being roughed up by that habitual offender, and he ended up killing the guy in self-defense, and he spent days in jail because Bragg charged him.
Yeah, didn't charge the people who attacked him. Charged him
well, it's kind of hard to charge a corpse, but it shouldn't have been any harder to charge a corpse than to charge the guy that was in self-defense. But when you no longer even have a right to self-defense, just think of how they're going to treat vigilante justice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I said they're stacking the deck. It's like,
by the way, I'm not calling for vigilante justice.
No.
I'm calling for a return of the characters that would get, like I said, would give us that kind of catharsis.
No, I said, we already said it. We would like to see that return to our entertainment, not to our real lives. But the way things are going, I said it's almost inevitable at this point, because a couple things. You can only tell somebody that they suck for so long before someone proves you right. And that's kind of what's happening to certain segments of the populace.
Well, if you're dancing around it, for my life, for my conscious life, let's say since 5 years old, I have been told you have to accept everybody. Don't judge by the color of skin, judge by the character. You have to realize that some people are good, some people are bad, no matter what their color is, no matter it's fine. You got to accept people for who they are, not for what they are. That same freaking time period, all the messages I've heard towards Black people is you can't make it because your skin color. You can't make it because I'm white. And the only way things are going to get better for you is if I change my ways. You have no agency over your life, and everything is going to suck. That is every bit of messaging I've heard, even from successful Black people. And it's worse to me now that I'm old enough to put 2 and 2 together. Whenever I hear a successful Black person tell poor Black people that they can't make it in America.
Yeah,
it blows. The fact that people don't freaking see that, the fact that they don't realize that bullshit is spilling out of somebody's mouth is amazing to me. It's like, okay, so Oprah, who, by the way, did a 2-hour special on you can't make it in America. This billionaire, she's got more money than some countries, is telling poor Black people that they can't make it in America. What freaking magic sauce did you drink? Freaking what's that guy's name? He's married to Beyonce.
Sean Carter.
He did the same freaking thing. He came out and talks about how, Black people, they can't make it in America. You're a fucking billionaire. Of course they can.
He's also a convicted felon who is now a billionaire.
Well, there you go. Oh, and let's, of course, my big target on that was Obama, who did one speech about how I made it. No, you can make it. No, Democrats, shut that shit down. You can't have that message. It really is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell somebody they're worthless because of something they cannot control and that they have no control over their lives, then okay, why should they? Well, I don't know.
Well, I think you bring up a great point. You keep telling them they can't make it. Then you need us to depend on it. And that's what they do. That's what one particular side loves to do. You need to have us depend on us to take care of you. We're the ones that are going to provide this for you, that. So therefore you don't bite the hand that feeds. And things like that, when they say you cannot earn, you can't be wealthy, that aggravates me to no end for multiple reasons. One is it seems like people in the United States today can't see the forest through the trees. We're all, we can't make it. But why is everybody else trying to come to our country then, illegally and willing to die to get here? Because they can see it. On top of that, if you look, the first generation probably will struggle. Let's be honest, unless you do something really lucky to hit really big. But if one generation hunkers down and works hard and puts money away and invests, you will have generational wealth very, very well within a period of one generation. That next group is going to be so well off. And then that next generation, if they learn those lessons past that, they are going to be high-end millionaires to billionaires. If all it is, if they're willing to do the work, budget, and watch how they do. And you don't even have to make anything fantastic to make it there. That's part of the problem. It's people in the United States live well beyond their means. They think they're poor when they're really not. They have the newest iPhone. They're all driving new cars. They have a more probably fancy place than they should be affording, and all the new luxuries, but yet they're hollering they're poor, where all they had to do is monitor what they're doing by a little bit, be a little more careful with that, and pay themselves first and minor investments that are safe. That next generation will be very well off, and the one after that will be massively well off. Sorry for my rant.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. It is. I keep trying to bring it around to street level heroes and such like that, but this is too real world, I guess, not to bring in real world things.
Well, bringing into real world is these heroes and things that they keep escalating them up and up. If you look, that's what I've been complaining about the Avengers. Every new threat is bigger and bigger, and you just said it. We're losing the street level. Why are we losing the street level fights in comic books now? Where are they gone? Even Spider-Man keeps going to these higher levels. Get back to some street level stuff, these street level characters.
It might actually help sales because it's something we can relate to. Eric and I did a video a while back. I'll have to repost it. We were talking about the death of the supporting character. There are no supporting. Even Mary Jane now has superpowers. You know, they're taking away what the superheroes are fighting for. It's becoming Kingdom Come, where they're just fighting to fight now. You know, it's you don't feel like there are people in the Marvel universe anymore. I think it's amazing to me that they've actually gone in this direction. It seemed to me like Marvels, if anything, the comic book Marvels really shined a light that there are real people trying to live in this universe or this planet with all sorts of heroes, mystical stuff going on around them. Another book that followed Marvel's called Code of Honor was about a cop in New York during the late 70s, early 80s. He actually met up with the Punisher at one point in time. And yes, they did actually do a thing where you saw the cops and they're talking about the Punisher doing the right thing, blah, blah, blah. But then the cop witnessed the Punisher and he's like, you know, I don't think we should be backing this guy. I don't mind that message. I don't think that the cops should be taking the Punisher's style, but we definitely kind of need that. We need to think that maybe somebody out there is doing what the government, what the oh goodness, you know, like the police, the CIA, the FBI, all the people who are supposed to be protecting us, all the people who are supposed to be following the law and putting the bad guys in prison, and they are no longer doing this. At least somebody is taking care of it, even if it is in the form of permanent justice, Punisher justice.
You know, you bring up a really good point too. Remember, Marvel was supposed to be the world outside our window. So out of a time where we got more issues right now with drugs coming overseas and everything, wouldn't this be the best time for a grounded, boots on the ground Punisher story taking out drug cartels?
Well, actually, Captain, it turns out Marvel is the world outside our window, but as he likes to point out, it turns out it was a fat lesbian bar.
Yeah, they open their blinds and they're right next to a lesbian bar.
Couldn't even be a lipstick lesbian bar, a fat lesbian bar.
No,
in the pride parades, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay, but along those lines, also, you know, is to paraphrase another YouTuber, doesn't anybody just rob a bank anymore? And on those lines, I want you to think, not counting New Age of Heroes.
That sounds like Richard.
It was.
It was okay. Yeah, that sounds
But you know, and I've been reading some old flashes from the 60s lately, and that's all the rogues wanted to do was knock off a bank and see if the Flash could catch them. And I'd kind of like to, you know, see some of those again. But try, like I said, not counting the New Age heroes. And this is something else that the way, since everything's an event now, try to think back the last time there was a #1 issue of an ongoing series of a new character. Think about that. How far back you have to go.
Yeah, the New Age of Heroes, huh?
not counting them. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure there might have been a couple in the early 2000s, but I don't think anything since.
There's got to have been. You know what? They would count like Kamal Khan is a new hero, right?
That's one. You're right.
Okay.
That is one.
But yeah, a lot of them are just whatever the word is for something that's like the other thing. There's a derivative of another hero,
right? Yeah. Which kind of she was at the time. It was a unique spin, but like America, that was a character from Young Avengers, and it was also when she got her own title, it was to make a statement. It wasn't to sell comics. It was to, like I said, it was to push an agenda. But I'm thinking of like you go back to when we were kids, Nova. Just completely new character. With a new supporting cast that was developed over the course of the book. Yeah, and you don't see those
Dark
anymore.
Hawk, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something we're going tonight. I've got a video I want to do when we do our open mic. The topic, I don't know how open mic it's going to be because I found this occasionally this guy jumps in. They're called adversity in comics or actual fandom or something like that. I've done a video of his before. He pops in and he's going after Gary and his crew, and I wanted to talk about that kind of thing. I actually had a thought that I swear to gosh, I'm disconnected today. I don't know what's going on. I can't I don't have the language right now. And I literally just forgot my point. But there was something they were saying that goes along with this. And no. They were talking about how we, and of course I could include myself, Captain, in this as well. We got mad because they started making characters of different races and sexes. I'm like, no, that's not why we got mad, jackass. We got mad because they weren't given their own identities. So we're going to be talking about that, and that's something. All these characters, you're right. There's so many characters recently that get their number ones, but they're female Iron Man. They're black white tiger. There is it's like that. It's not original characters. It's just race or gender swapped characters. I would say it's because they are saving their best characters for themselves. Justin, I actually think you just hit the nail on the head.
Oh, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
If you have a good idea, you're not going to, but you're going to try. But on the other hand, if the big two were still thriving, you could probably make more coming up with an original character for Marvel, because then if the book sold, you get royalties, which no one gets anymore because nothing reaches those thresholds.
Yeah. And
if your original character, and this is why Dan Slott created Spider
Silk
Child or whatever,
and Silk and all this other crap.
But yeah, if you get picked up for a character by the MCU, you have a better chance of making more money than if your original character gets picked up on Crackle.
Well, we found out actually you're better off creating a character for DC as far as that's concerned. Marvel has been very stingy with the royalty checks, and DC literally goes up and makes sure that people are getting paid. But it's good up front because apparently their movies aren't making money. Another subject I'm going to be making a video on is how Morbius kicked Shazam 2's ass.
Did that actually do better?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Even when it went to VOD, more people watched more. But I think this Morbius is almost the Rocky Horror Picture Show of superhero movies. It was so obviously bad that people they'll watch it to enjoy how bad it is. Shazam 2 is incredibly enjoyable. It is just a great time to be had, but there's nothing, no real grab on it. It is very, I got to say, everything you've seen somewhere before.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I can't say this, but it's so entertaining and it's so much fun, but it falls right in that middle. If you're watching an extreme bad movie, you could sometimes have more fun with the middle. But I'm telling you, I think Shazam 2 is one of my favorite movies of the year so far.
Awesome. I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet, but I did watch the Mario Brothers movie. That is fantastic. My kids and wife absolutely loved it.
As somebody who's not into Mario, it was all right. Hey, Kevin Vu, what's up? Been a while. Maybe I need to do more of these daytime streams. Let's see. Let's be honest here. They've been a new thing that they bombed hard. Oh, the Safe Space New Warriors. I'll tell you, I'm actually disappointed Safe Space.
But those were derivatives also. I mean, again, those were designed to make it to fit an agenda.
Space New Warriors did not manifest.
You just want that New Warriors book to come out because you'll be able to do videos that'll do fantastic.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That'd be great entertainment.
Black Cat, do you have anything to say about the fact that we need street level Punisher justice in New York, or if we need the return of the street level? We've got Moon Knight out there, by the way, doing mystical and superhero stuff rather than beating the shit out of the common criminal. What do you think there?
There is no street level anymore. Look at Batman, who's supposed to be the main street level from DC. He's doing space jumps with his underwear.
That's true. Yeah.
And now the current story is he's jumping to the multiverse.
Yeah. What happened to like Eric said, Richard said, why doesn't somebody just rob a bank? Batman is A-okay for jumping into a whole bunch of guys. Maybe they made him too super. Remember the big push in the 2000s in the Grant Morrison? He beat up all the Martians, and all of a sudden, with preparation, Batman could beat up Superman. You know, and all of a sudden,
that wasn't him being super. That was him just being a strategic thinker. Like, he found out they're Martians. He didn't beat them up. He just lured them in and lit a match.
Okay. Now, Kevin Vu is saying he didn't get the appeal of the Punisher until Daredevil. I think that was an excellent example of the Punisher. I really enjoyed that version. You do see basically it's basically Death Wish. I mean, it's that thing. He sees his family killed, therefore he takes vengeance, and but it's kind of Death Wish mixed with Batman, because he does that so nobody suffers the way he suffered. So if it's done right, you get that kind of emotion. Also, by the way, the Punisher TV show is where I came up with Chasing Ghosts. And obviously that phrase has been around forever, but I put it towards the SJW, the wokeisms, and so forth and so on. If you have a channel that is dedicated to talking about woke, talking about SJW, and so forth and so on, you have to go out and you find it, because you've cultivated that audience. I have a feeling a lot of my audience isn't watching. I've got 17,800 subs, and most of them aren't watching. And I have a feeling it's because I actually made it a point to stop searching for it. If I see it, I'll talk about it. But when you need to fulfill that, when you need to feed the audience, basically, their confirmation bias, you start you find it in places it really isn't. And you start saying things, which I have seen said, just because there's a gay character in a book, it's woke. I'm sorry, there's gay people out there. It's not woke. It's just, here's a gay person. If they're announcing something, if somebody draws a drag show in a comic and there's a whole bunch of kids around and they're saying, hey, this is absolutely fine. Yeah, that's wokeism. But it got to the point where just having somebody in there was being targeted as woke. And I wait, no, you're chasing ghosts on this one. I think so I came up with that basically because of the Punisher, because there was a female cop and people were saying it was woke. And I was like, wait a second, there's actual female detectives, there's female cops. I don't know where I was going with that.
But that's what happens when you beat that over people's heads for so long, that when someone comes along and does something organic, it just gets lumped in. Now,
Yeah.
for the doesn't anybody just rob banks? It's weird. The comic book customer base that they have cultivated seems to be comprised of two kinds of people, and I don't even count us as one of the two anymore. They're the people that have to see themselves in everything. And then there's the people that want impossibly larger than life, universe shattering event on top of whatever it was I just said, because I'm too old to remember what I just said. And
we're having problems here.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
Well, I strung together a lot of words there. I can't be expected to remember them all for the next sentence.
There is no audience for the overly strong universal events. That's just what the writers think.
Right, but I don't know if there's much of an audience for people that have to see themselves in everything either.
Right.
But that's what we're getting. And there's so little in
the
between.
audience there is an audience for that. They just don't buy the comics.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, I think I can, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think I can safely speak for the majority of us here that our characters that we read and enjoyed did not have to look or be anything like us.
Thank goodness.
I know, right? One of my favorite freaking superheroes as a kid was Power Man.
Same here.
Yeah, he was written great.
I was reading his books when I was 7 and 8 years old, thinking they're badass. Are you kidding me?
Zach.
How the I not Zach. How do I, as an 8-year-old white kid in Florida, what do I have in common with a black man in Harlem?
A sweet
Christmas. Who can get shot and not feel it? You know, but no, I thought, okay, he's protecting the little, I want to be that hero. I want to be the guy who people go to say, hey, can you help me? Back then, now I want everybody to leave me alone. But back then, I wanted to be that guy.
Now get off his lawn.
Yeah, now get off my lawn.
Just they say that fear has
now
to be
I want to kill a bird for shitting on my computer screen. Are you serious? Are you serious? No, don't fly over here like you're my friend. You just pooped on my computer screen. Yes, thank you. Come here, little boy. Come here. Come here. Come on. No, you're going to stay there and bite my finger. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we read all kinds of the Fantastic Four, all these heroes. It didn't matter if they didn't have a mask on, because if they had that mask, it could be anybody. It could be us. Mm-hmm. No, we read it because we enjoyed the character, we enjoyed the story, we enjoyed what they did, what they went through. I mean, people don't make sense. I think all these thoughts and ideas that they keep saying like that are actually pushed onto the kids by the adults. Because anybody that's had a kid that will tell you, they don't come up with those things themselves. They don't care. At least mine didn't. Maybe I can't speak for every kid, but my kid didn't care what kids don't care what color you are. They care. I mean, my daughter, her favorite hero is Thor. I'm sorry, she's not a big dude with muscles, but she likes Thor, and it's not a sexual thing. She's 7.
We would be. I think we would be doing a disservice to not admit that it does make a difference in some ways, shape, form, because Nichelle Nichols, of course, has that very famous story of her wanting to quit Star Trek because she just didn't have anything. She didn't have a lot to do, and Martin Luther King said, "No, you can't do that." Because people, little black boys, little black girls will be seeing you as part of that command crew. And she's a very important part of that, and so she stayed.
But
obviously, to a certain extent, seeing, I guess, a person the same color, if you're a girl, seeing a little girl. I remember when my kids were young, I would read them The Fly and such. And then after that, I introduced them to Zatanna and Power Girl, and they just went nuts. They loved Power Girl. They loved Zatanna. And then they discovered anime, and it didn't matter. It's the story. It's the plot. It's what dragged them to it. Giving them, what was it? I remember a lot of fruits in baskets. And I remember the Death Note and everything. That was what they were into. You start them off simple, they will find their way. But they did enjoy reading the exploits of female heroes, but it didn't stop them from enjoying books like The Fly.
Maybe I should be scared because my boy loves Doctor Doom. He thinks that's the coolest character.
You know,
Dr. Doom.
you can look at it like he is elevated. He is going for the world. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I said one thing Nichelle Nichols didn't do on Star Trek was begin every sentence with, "Well, as a black woman, Captain."
Yeah,
And
that is true.
Yeah, I said, and Power Man in the 70s wasn't, I mean, yes, it was obvious he was a black man because it was based on the blaxploitation movies. So I mean, there was some dialogue. And before anybody gets all bent out of shape, Billy Graham, a black man, assisted with that. He was there from the beginning. It's just, and now though, it's all about the identity. Before, they were just there, and that's what's changed. It's like the farther along we get, the more we regress. And again, that is also by design.
Oh, I was over on Nerdette's stream a while back, and I said, "You guys brought racism back. We beat it." And the freaking comment section lit up. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's so full of shit. This guy's no, sorry, guys. I feel bad for you, millennials, for you, Gen Zers. We beat racism. You fucking brought it back. You guys who are calling for segregation in the name of equality. You guys who are saying that the only buying into that freaking CTR, whatever it is, CRT thing, where they literally say the only way to beat racism of the past is with racism of the future. No, you're full of shit. We had it beat. The way and here's the thing, let me explain it. You will never get rid of racists. There are no laws other than what's that called, where you have to hire a minority if
affirmative action.
Affirmative action. That's the only law on the books, by the way, that mentions race. That puts one race over the other. The thing is if you were a racist in the 2000s, 1990s, lesser extent, of course, 80s and 70s. I mean, let's face it, progress takes time. You were ostracized. You were kicked out of the sandbox for not being able to play well with others. You were kicked off the island. You are the weakest link. Give me your freaking jacket and leave Hell's Kitchen. You were done. We beat racism, but we wanted the racists to be loud. We don't want to silence them. We want them to be loud so we could say, that guy over there is a racist. Nowadays, you freaking kids, the millennials, the Gen Zs, with your quiet racism, with your we need segregation, we need black people over here, we need white people over here. God forbid we have a mascot on a goddamn food product in the grocery store. Have you noticed that these non-racist people have just wiped black people out in the public eye? Because if you have black people in the public eye, it's all of a sudden stereotypical, and that's racist and this racist. Holy shit, the people who say they're anti-racist today are doing the freaking work of the Klan. I mean, they are really on point for the Klan. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that they did that.
Yeah, they killed Uncle Ben, not a robber.
Yeah, I know. And freaking hell. I mean, God forbid you are a slave who did well as a pancake syrup mascot, because you are fucking racist as fuck. Even though in 1990 they made her a businesswoman. Oh no, she's just a token of a go f yourself. They made her a businesswoman, and you couldn't freaking handle it, you racist fuck. But that's another rant. Sorry,
but
that
that golf clap was for you, Captain.
Oh, for the Uncle Ben joke?
Yes.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go. It's true. I never saw myself in Batman, Thor, Shang-Chi, Sergeant Rock, etc. I just love the stories, says Michael Hart. Yeah, and you can learn the moral lessons that they had. Let's see. As a millennial, these guys who brought back racism don't represent us. Most of us are not like that. This applies to some of the Gen Zs, as MK said. Let's see. Exactly. In fact, I know more millennials who don't feel that way than do from my experience. I guess you're talking about how it seems like it's the very loud minority versus the silent majority.
Now, what other movement does that apply to that's getting a lot of traction these days?
The bowel movement.
Close enough.
Yeah. Hell, my father and mother both agree that racism was ended by the late 80s. Say again, Evil Black Cat. I was talking over you.
No, it was an old joke. Just go.
Sorry. Ahsoka saying, hell, my father and mother agree that racism had ended by the late 80s to the early 2000s. By late 2000s, it had come back in this shit with the critical race theory starting up. Yeah, as the seeds were being planted in the colleges. Yeah, that's I remember when I went to college was a brag. Now it seems more cult-like. So I don't know.
Exactly. People make it out to be like there's so many racists out there, and I agree with you. I think that numbers drop down so much, and let's give those people a megaphone so we can point them out. The sunshine is a great disinfectant. I mean, this is. People, the way we see each other is just scary. I remember many years ago, we were holding tryouts for a new drummer, and a guy sent us a tape, and we listened to it, we liked it, we had him come down, and he came, and he was a black guy and going for a rock band, and he felt less of a problem about that. What he worried about is he was blind. He thought we were going to be, possibly not want him because he was blind, not because he was black.
And Are you kidding me? Blind drummer? That's a sell point, man.
Blind black drummer, great guy too. Probably one of the most conservative guys I've ever met in my life too.
I have seen quite a few black people who are conservatives who go hard because they don't like the bullshit that's happening in the community.
When the demand for racism starts to exceed the supply, and it is in a certain group's best interest to regrow that population, what better way to do that than to have a country full of DAs excusing charges by crimes committed by, because the idea behind that is that to get a bunch of white people to get really pissed off about that and create a new generation of racists. Again, not too hard to figure out. But I said I don't know what the end game is, because I don't know what the point is of ruling over a fractured civilization, or in the case of a fractured globe. I think I'd rather lord over a successful country, a successful world. But it seems like they're trying to whoever's doing this just wants to knock everything, like I said, let it all burn down, and then create some kind of Elysium like that Matt Damon movie.
Yeah, it seems like the power is the end game. It's like you always see in the comics, you always see in the movies and so forth. I want to rule the world, and it's like Zod. He's sitting at the White House, and they're all looking bored. You're the ruler of all you survey. Well, so I was yesterday, so I am today. It's like, what next? So what is going to happen? What is like you said, what is the end game if they get somebody to act or react, or and they start, and they're definitely trying. I got to tell you, I've got a tinfoil hat that says some of these school shootings are sanctioned. I honestly believe that. I know it's a conspiracy theory. There's no evidence yet, but I will put my tinfoil hat on, because it happens too quickly. It happens way too quickly. Bodies hit the floor, and 5 seconds later, you got somebody on there talking about how the guns need to go. It just seems so convenient, and I understand that's my conspiracy theory, but I swear to gosh, it's I don't know.
I'm not necessarily going to put the tinfoil hat on and go that far, but I think the fact that we keep politicizing it, pushing racism, pushing phobe this, phobe that, we're putting everybody at a boiling point. And everybody gets to the point where you've had enough, and then you do something. And I think we're fueling the fire so much. People are getting ignited more than ever before.
Yeah. I got called out. I put up a video. I cut a whole bunch of my live streams up and I put them as individual videos so people who didn't stay for the later parts could see it. And one of the videos I was questioning whether I wanted to repost. We were talking about Dylan Mulvaney. We were talking about transgenderism and so forth. And my daughter walks in. My daughter is on the left. Sometimes I think she's far on the left, but she's definitely agrees with the identity politics. Now, here's my take on the whole thing. I grew up the only conservative in a household of leftists. So, and I never shut up. Like if they said something, I would say, so, well, that's not true. For peace, a lot of times I would go, I wouldn't say anything. I'll just go, and that seemed to satisfy him. Okay, there's no argument. So sometimes I would do that. But I always encourage my daughter to step up. If she disagrees with me, say something. It's fine. I won't always agree with her. I'm not going to take her side very often, but go on ahead. So I put out this video where she comes in and she confronts me, and she's obviously affected. She's in tears when she comes in. So I got that. I did that, and then I got a comment I'm going to share with you guys, because this kind of pissed me off. This person, Tyler James Hill, don't go. I shouldn't have to say, but there you go. He's only got 6 subscribers. So it could be possible that he made this just a comment. He says, I'm not sure how I stumbled across this, but it's one of the most incorrect takes on anything mentioned that I've seen in a while. Seems purposefully incorrect too. Bad faith all the way down. Maybe it's just ignorance. Anyway, at a certain point, I had to turn it off. It's weird watching people being openly disrespectful, pretending to be respectful. And I said, you said nothing here. Please tell us what you disagreed with. Do it respectfully, especially if you disagree with my daughter. No thanks. You use veneer of respect to be disrespectful. And it's pretty easy to see from quite a long ways off. You don't actually want to engage with modernity. I have better things to do than to talk to a reactionary. But from where I stopped listening, you were just off base about the way you approach everything. And I'm really tired of the certitude coming from cis white men. Don't exist, by the way. It's too bad you want to do an order of magnitude or more talking than listening. And I said, so you waste your time again by saying nothing again. And then I say, no such thing as cis. Stay away from, and this is my advice. If you're caught up in this identity politics thing, stay away from social media, get your mind back. Because you've given it to an ideology that destroys free thinking and will. The reason why I shared that was to point out I'm actually offering a hand to anyone who disagrees. Come on in, talk. We do it respectfully. This isn't a veneer of respect. It's actual respect. People have differences of opinions. The fact that I treated my daughter like that rather than just going off, it's that's something I've seen so many times. I used to put the link into whatever topic we were talking about. I used to put the link into people who disagreed. If you really disagree about that and you want your voice heard, come on in. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. 2 people once 3 years ago. That's the last freaking time somebody took it up. Not willing to have their ideas challenged at all. This guy I want to do the video on is one of those people. And what's worse is they'll take things we don't say and make that our argument. Riri Williams shouldn't have been in a book called Iron Man, especially considered she has a title already, Iron Heart. She should be in her own book. Well, you just don't like black girls. I've dated a few. I don't mind them. Thank you very much. It's just that they will not. They will make straw man. I guess that's what it's called when they make up arguments for you. Like you've never said something. Isn't that a straw man?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll make up straw man arguments, but they will not discuss their sides. You bring up the Punisher. They're going to talk about, oh, you want cops to go around killing everybody and blah, blah, blah. No. No, like I said, this is catharsis because the police aren't doing anything, or the police are doing something. And what's his name? Albert Braggs or whatever. He's letting them off. He's letting them go. So why are the police even doing their job? Why, if you were a cop in New York, why would you put yourself in danger knowing this guy's just going to be on the street the next day?
Yeah, a couple things. When you were talking, so you know, try to gather this back in. Yeah, keep talking. They'll come back to me. God, we are having a bad day.
It's a bad memory day for the old people, kids. I don't know how Frugal stayed out of it, but then again, I
He's
think
not
Frugal's,
50 yet.
Yeah, Frugal's a few years away.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, the guy that
Getting there.
The guy that responded to your the comments you said kept saying nothing. This is what I'd like to say to anybody that uses the term. I said, it's like pejorative, but like blah blah blah, cis white male. So are you saying that if that person was black, it would be okay? Because I would like to just ask one person that.
Yeah. Because
cis white male to the progressives is a end of argument, mic drop, because that's all we have to do. Because I said, when you said people won't challenge their views, that's because they've been taught that they don't have to.
Well, they're also taught if you're a cis white male.
When everybody's on their side, all they have to do is scream and shout.
Right.
And
if they call you a cis white male, you lose because you're not allowed to have an opinion anymore. That's taking your power away. And they're not willing to have that conversation. They think that you are not allowed to have any view. You have no say in anything because you're white. You don't understand. So you've never had a problem in your life, Breen. You've had life given to you. It's easy for you. You don't know what everybody else went through. How dare you? It's absolutely ridiculous.
So
I'm sorry. I'll be better.
I'm not saying it's true at all. But you know
that. The thing is, anytime I hear that, I say, well, you can't talk about white men anymore. Because you're not a white guy, so you can't talk about white people anymore. You gotta curb that shit. And then they say every one of them I've ever challenged with that sentence has said the same thing. Well, we live with white people. I mean, welcome to freaking Florida. You go down my street, everybody's represented. We've got the Asian, we've got the Latino, we've got black people, we've got the whole gamut. So, okay, we've even got Black Americans, and we've got people from Haiti. This is Florida, man. We're very integrated. I live all around. And to answer MK, actually, I have dated. He's saying I'm an equal opportunity dater. Yeah, I had dated Latino women as well. As a matter of fact, my wife noticed that before I met her, all my dates seemed to be minority women who were around 5'2", 5'3", So I met my wife and I said instantly, this is the woman I'm going to marry. White girl, 5'8". I mean, if she's wearing shoes, she's the tall one, it's just that way nowadays, not back in the day. But yeah, she actually noticed I am nothing like the people you dated before. So yeah, that does happen. Well, now I'm trying to steer it back to, but yeah, that was told to me. And by the way, I don't buy into it. Say again.
As in, she was the only one that failed to escape.
Yeah, she was the only one that failed to escape, right? Yeah.
Well, up to that point, Kat, whenever they got it too much out of line, you could just deflate them.
Oh, dang.
Dude, it was the late 80s. They didn't make those dolls in minorities.
Good comeback, Potsy.
So you just painted a pump different colors?
I had to use the spray paint. So MK is saying, yeah, Bragg is bad news. Mayor can say something about Kathy Hochul, but can get rid of him at any time. The fact that this woman, the thing that started off this live stream that I had to talk about this right away, was a video of a woman going after Bragg, talking about how he had a case against the guys and girl who murdered her son. And Bragg brought the charges down from murder to manslaughter to assault with a shoe. Bragg had video evidence. They were filming it. They were bragging about it. They were talking. Names are called. He didn't do anything. And it made me think we need Punisher justice. At the very least, in our media, we need to bring that back because it is cathartic. We need to see Dirty Harry's asking a frickin' person who robbed a bank and killed someone, do you feel lucky, punk? We need to see the Punisher tearing off. I'm not talking about crazy Punisher in the 80s where he's like, oh, that person jaywalked. There is, by the way, an issue of Spectacular Spider-Man where he's doing that. But hey, you're a criminal, I'm going to kill you now is kind of cathartic. I'm not saying that I want real people to go out there, but in our in our fiction, it's actually cathartic. Or we need just Batman to get back on the street. We need Daredevil to fight those characters. You don't necessarily have to kill them.
So what you're saying is we need Batman to take his underwear off his head and put them back where they belong.
Exactly.
No,
yes, exactly.
Or at least over the fence.
So if it's not a hate crime, does that mean it's a love crime? I don't like that term, hate crime. I can't see a murder that isn't.
Yeah, it's all based on hate. That I never understood that. It's a hate crime because you killed somebody. It's a hate crime. You killed them. There's hate there. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, what gender you are. You clearly had hate. I don't get that.
Now I know I said earlier it makes no sense to charge a corpse, but they do for clerical purposes, for whatever purpose you like. The shooter in the Tennessee grade school was not charged with a hate crime, but someone that peeled out on a rainbow colored street was.
That amazes me.
Alvin Bragg even said that's weird.
It is charging a guy who skids across the first of all, when did we give up rainbows? I'm sorry, but I don't look outside. Oh wow, it's a beautiful, when did we give up the rainbow?
Lucky Charms were no longer magically delicious.
I guess so. Kevin Vu saying, I feel Punisher works because he's not a hero. Even when he removes someone from the earth and they're pure evil, it never looks good. It's a crazy man. But once again, this all came from the 1970s. The characters that we know, the Punisher, and I brought up Death Wish, Dirty Harry. They all came from a time when crime was out of control. People had no recourse. So in their fiction, they got recourse. They got that. They were able to at least enjoy something being done. Right now, the people who are in charge of doing that something, they aren't doing anything. And
when
of
was
course,
Bernard Getz?
Bernard, he was in the 80s.
No, it was in the 80s?
Yeah. For you, those of you too young don't know, there was a guy, he had a screwdriver, right? Did he? Or was it, did he have the gun and the other guy had the screwdriver?
I think he had the gun because he killed 4 of them.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Bernard Getz is a guy who rode on a subway, and these guys came up to rob him, and he death wished them. I mean, blam, 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 blam. I was one of those like, well, yeah, they were robbing him. Okay, if they didn't rob him, he wouldn't have shot him. If you just go on your merry freaking way, you're not putting yourself in danger. Can't be surprised when somebody you're trying to do violence to becomes violent. Let's see. I remember that case with the cops and the black dude. They were talking hate crime. That was in the early 90s, I think, says MK. Let's see. It's newspeak in an Orwell kind of way, says Undead Quinn. It's what we're talking about. Oh, hate crime is very newspeak. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that. Hate speech, there's no such thing. You might insult somebody. You might insult somebody because of their race or something. Big damn deal. Look, I don't agree with it. You know my policy here. You can't say slurs. I will block you. It's just the way it is. But we should never take away somebody's freedom to be a jackass, because you will not know who or why you will become said jackass. The whole point, and what I think it ends up aiming for, is they do want to outlaw this kind of stuff, because eventually they'll get to, you can't insult your politicians, you can't insult your leaders. They say there are no slippery slopes. Yada yada yada. We've heard that argument before, but it is all a slippery slope. It's all a slippery slope.
Well, look, we've changed our definitions on what's offensive and what was okay, astronomical amount in just the last decade.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I mean, the things that we used to say to each other as guys, as young men, today would be hate speech to the nth degree.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They're actually apologizing for TV shows that came out early 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard Friends, of course, now is incredibly offensive. Blah blah. Are we watching the same show?
Well, that's only because all 6 of them were white. It really is that simple on Friends.
By the way, speaking of Friends, real quick side, did anybody believe, like I do, that every woman Ross dated throughout the entire TV show was better for him than Rachel? I got that feeling. First of all, Ross is a pretty shitty
even the
character.
one that left him for a woman. Oh, that was his wife.
That was his wife. And yeah, even she is. Rachel is a horrible person. I don't want to be with you,
she was
Ross.
a horrible
Okay,
boss.
I'll date. Yeah, but Ross was a crap character anyway. But yeah, they like Chandler makes fun, or he jokes about his father's a drag queen. And I'm like, well, how would you have him like right now? Oh, you just need to accept it. You just need to accept it. Maybe he did, but this is a way of dealing with it. Humor is his way, and that's what how you see the character. Humor is his way. It's like, can you believe this? No. In all honesty, it does take something. It does take something. Now, I've got the Gail's friend who introduced me to Gail. Her dad was gay, so obviously, yes, this happens, and it happened in the past where either by necessity or just by not really wanting to accept it, gay men had daughters. Anthony Perkins, by the way, had a daughter. But I forget my point. There you go. I don't care. I had a point and I lost it.
But to bring it back to comics for a second while you try to remember, Bill Finger, his son, was gay, but had a daughter.
Yeah.
Before he realized that she's the one that actually went out and preserved, gave him back his legacy and provided the information for that documentary. So that's, yeah, it does happen.
Yeah. Well, and not being automatically accepted as part of life, it's going to happen. That is called equality. I got picked on. You know, it's I got picked on for being a comic book nerd, by the way. That is something, but that I put out there though. It was, you know, it's not like, oh well, I gotta hide this. You know, I did actually hide it a little bit. I guess it was from about 16 to 18 or 19. I used to hide it because I'm trying. Oh, I'm trying to get girls. You don't talk about comic books if you're trying to get girls. You just don't talk. I don't talk about the comic books. Don't talk about the cartoons. Definitely, you know, don't bring up Star Wars references every time. But after a while, I was like, yeah, fucking, I'm an adult. By the time I started dating Gail, I actually had a wall of all my key issues. That, you know, nowadays it's normal. People have this, you know, this is normal now. But back in the 80s, if a girl walks in and sees this, it's like a big freaking red flag. So
no, I made it through high school without, only my best friend knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was, you did not come out of that closet either in those days. And yeah, I said it. So I never got picked on, but because it was, you know, I was an idiot. You know, every class has those people that will just do anything.
Yeah.
And they get invited to all the parties just to see what kind of crazy shit they'll do next. I was that guy. So yeah, it's a big shock that I ended up in a care unit before 30. But
you know,
I don't want to interrupt everybody, but I have to run. So I have to get my kids, but I want to say thank you, everybody. I love this conversation that you guys are having, and all of you people too that are in the chat. You're all amazing, just so you know. And thanks for having me, Ani.
All right, have a good one, Cap. And by the way, guys, if you have not yet subscribed and been watching Captain Frugal's videos, please do so. It's a lot of fun, especially when he's playing games with his kids. He's very family friendly. And but I will tell you something. A lot of people said this, and now that he's gone, it'll sound like I'm backstabbing or something. I promise you, Cap, I'm not. Captain Frugal is one of the greatest guys you can meet in the world. I'm glad he was actually one of the original crew members for the England team, I guess, that we can. But he is so nice, but god dang, that guy's got a sharp wit. And he will cut you to the quick, man. That's something I've always appreciated about the captain. Just says we're supposed to live our truth, but also be super accepting of our cross-dressing dad, that it is absurd on the face of it. There you go. One thing, when I came back, when me and Gail got back together, I told her I would never lie to her. And I truly try not to lie at all. I hate lying. To the point where you might hear me say something, I'll say like, well, you know, because everybody does. Well, not really everybody, but blah, blah, blah. I don't need to say, well, not really everybody, because a lot of times when you hear the term everybody, you know it's not everybody. But I don't like to lie. I made that promise to Gail, and I just try to keep it up in my real life. Obviously, I do. And if I'm telling a joke or something like that, or if I have to leave something out because it's too close to family or something. But England team, I'm so happy I was around when that name came up. So I don't know who coined it, but I was like, hey, that's pretty good. I hope I did. I don't know if I did or not, but yeah. Let's see. MK to Jay. I was thinking of other dude. I have no idea. I forgot the name. It's hard. I don't know what you're talking about there. Okay. But there you go, guys. Look, I started off this. I'll say it again. I think that we need Punisher back in our lives, not Punisher leader of the hand, but Punisher on the street. Daredevil needs to get back to the New York streets and start fighting crime. We need to see that. Unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where the racists have won. They say you can't show crime because a lot of crime is committed by black people, and black people aren't supposed to be held to the same standards. Therefore, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with it from the freaking concept. And plus, in the comic books, definitely, you don't have to draw everybody looking the same. It doesn't have to be that way. Just show Daredevil kicking the freaking shit, like Frank Miller days. All the gangs were like a freaking Benetton ad. You had one of each. If you go back and you look, the Frank Miller gangs, man, they were just at one of every race, maybe two of one, but yeah, I don't know. Anywho, just to answer a question from Jay, join us tonight. I've got a topic I really want to talk about. I think it'll be fun. Also, it is open mic, so if that topic's not going so well, yeah, bring up your own kind of thing. We talk about whatever you want. So, yeah, we are doing that. Kevin was saying, I get England, you're trying to hold your voice accountable. I'll hold my voice accountable, and that's something I also try. Yeah, it's really been nice. I mean, sometimes I have to tell my wife something that she doesn't like to hear, but you know, it's not like it was before where I would kind of feel like I needed to walk on eggshells and such. Frank Miller gangs is what actually became of the Burger King Kids Club. Yeah, and Undead Quinn says, yes, comics needs is street level justice. And with that note, thank you very much for Captain Frugal, Evil Black Cat, Eric Breen for joining me in the conversation. I certainly appreciate it. And thank everybody in the chat for joining in. Don't forget to click like, do all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to Captain Frugal, watch his videos. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. If you don't mind helping out the channel, yes, this is the shill part. There's a link to Ko-Fi in the description below. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that. To everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good day.
Good afternoon.
Later.